Welcome to Alive to Thrive here on KNSJ 89.1 FM. We are honored today to have my good friend Armand King here with us today. We're going to be discussing the Walk With Me Impact Project. We talked about this a few months ago and doing a follow-up interview when we were getting ready to launch. How have you been, Armand? Introduce yourself.
Hello. First and foremost, Mitchell, thank you for having me here on Alive to Thrive. I'm doing fantastic. I've been enjoying this journey of this campaigning for this curriculum for multiple reasons we'll get into. But basically, who am I? I'm the little brother and big brother to many. I have a heart that beats for many people, and I want to see people thrive. I want to see people alive in all aspects of the word, physically alive, mentally alive, and living the best they can with this world that we have. And unfortunately, there are a large population of people that don't get that to be alive in all the ways they should be able to. And I'm here to help change that.
Absolutely. And with people like us that have firsthand lost friends too soon, these incredible people that had so much to give the world, and to see them lose their lives so early in life, it's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. And so I hold your work in the highest regard. I think it's fantastic that you're making a difference, especially working with young teens. How have things been developing over the last few months?
Wow. So over the last few months, especially since I talked to you, it's been great, because I think what this campaign did is it put enough pressure. Because with Kickstarter, if you don't hit the goal you set out for, you don't get any of the money. So like right now, everything that people have pledged is just a pledge. Like no money has been taken from their account or anything like that. And if we don't hit our goal of the 25,000, no money's taken. It's all or bust, right? So that pressure alone has maybe, I think, pushed me. I'm already a grinder. I already really, I'm active. I communicate with people, but this made me communicate and talk with way more people than I would have. I at least touched 1,000 people, direct contacts, and in this short period of time. And like I set out to do at the beginning was like, drop this rock in the middle of a still lake and let the ripples go where they go. Whoever the ripple effects touch, let them touch it. And people that have come out that I didn't even think would, or even think of being a supporter of the campaign, have pushed harder than their closest friends, So I think, and mentally, God moves people the way he wants to move people and touch people the way he wants to touch people. And I'm so appreciative. I think we're over 120 backers right now. Just that I feel accomplished alone. And that many people have resonated with the idea. So many people all over the country have I've communicated with, that had meetings with, that love the project. And, I have a lot of friends that are rappers, right? Growing up, and we have a saying, all my friends are rappers. And everybody, when you have a lot of people that are into rap, everybody, or music period, everybody thinks their next song is the hottest song they've ever come out with, and you may like the older song, but they think that fresh new song is the hottest. Everybody thinks their baby is the cutest. So like with projects, and as an entrepreneur, you think your business or your idea is the top. And in association with this, and what I'm talking about, the curriculum, I know through my experience that nothing like this is in existence. Even amongst the multiple great, beautiful curriculums that are out there, this innovative approach that I'm taking, and a combination of tried and true methods, didn't exist. And the more I'm reaching out to people and youth advocates across the country, I'm being verified that nothing like this exists, and there's a serious need for it, right? So those are learning milestones in this past couple of months.
Absolutely. Well, and I don't think that I don't think that there's absolutely nothing that's like this because of your background. because of what you have personally experienced, I guarantee that there's nothing out there that's like this, because everything that you've experienced in your life, in your upbringing, and losing friends, and, in your early teens, I think you were like 12 the first time that you lost a friend. Is that correct?
That's correct. And then not just lost a friend, like they moved away, or even just they went to a different school, or lost a friend for murder, literally their life being taken from them. And it's been continual since then. Man, as I mentioned last time when we had the interview, last year, 2021, losing at least one loved one every single month of the year, some months multiple. And even as I say this, and I repeatedly say this, and people see me, I'm a real happy individual. And when I tell this story of losing cousins, losing family members, friends, 7 mentees last year, and it hasn't stopped. That was 2021. 2022 has been pretty much just as critical. But I say these stories, and I wish I was making it up. I wish my cousin Arnulfo Quintero was still here and not a tattoo on my arm right now. I wish my mentee Greggy, 15-year-old Greggy, who passed away a few hours after we spoke, last person he spoke to, I wish he was alive right now. But one thing's for sure, their loss of life is not going to be in vain. That pain that I felt and others felt, I'm not the only one that felt their loss, but me personally, I'm choosing to take that pain, that loss, and transfer it into passion, and then that passion into a tool to give to other people, so we can hopefully save the future Greggies, the future Arnulfos, the future people that are going down these same paths. We can point at the problem all day long. We can point out what's going wrong with the system, what needs to be in the schools, what needs to be in mentoring, or we could do something about it. I'm on the end of doing something about it.
Absolutely. And I love the way that you said that you took that pain and you processed it into something that was powerful, that you can make a difference with, and that's something that I had to go through with losing my friends to overdoses. It was like I could either continue to fall into this despair, or I could live for them. I could live and make my dreams and their dreams come true, and live for them instead of die with them. And so I think that this program, Walk With Me Impact Project, is going to change lives. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And, we're aiming towards, I've been at all spectrums of intervention, prevention work, and, for many years, helping people once they've already gone through down the path of drug addiction, violence, abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. I've been at all ends, with for young kids, helping to prevent them, to the older folks that may have done time in prison or have been damaged severely by this and caused damage. But right now, I would say my main focus is prevention. I want to help these kids. I want to help these individuals never have to experience that trauma. How do we keep them from ever going down that path in the first place? And from this decade of being in the trenches and learning, I have tried and true methods that I've helped with, been a part of creating, and that I've seen with other people, other great people out there that have done this work. And what all that Armand is doing right now, is taking those best practices, putting it into a tool, a easily reusable tool, trainable tool to arm people who have the heart just like me out there to help others. But sometimes, and oftentimes, when you're in the trenches and you're doing the work, you don't have the time to sit back and create this tool, this manual like we have with this facilitator's guide, teaching the mentor how to be a mentor, actually identifying the best practices of yourself, your organization, other organizations, and putting it together. This tool is going to go into the hands of parents, mothers, grandmothers, friends, not just youth organizations, churches, community groups, schools, whoever's ready for something like this, to reach that hard to reach population, so we can prevent them from ever going down that path in the first place. Real quick, the other day, a friend of mine had mentioned how his parenting, the way his parents worked, where if they would see a hot pot and he would go to touch it as a little kid. And the parent would be like, let him touch it. He'll learn after he touches the pot. And like, no, mom, can you stop me before? Can you tell me the pot's hot? I'm going to get scolds and burns and scars rather than me learn, and I had to agree when he said it. It resonated like, yeah, I can identify with that parenting. Let them touch the hot pot. They'll learn after they do it. No, I don't want the scars. So let's stop letting people go down. Let's just let him, he'll learn. No, sometimes that learning lesson, you die. That learning lesson, you're incarcerated for 15 years before you learn, or you kill somebody else. So yeah, definitely prevention.
Absolutely, prevention. And that's the thing is that with the world that we're in today, because of fentanyl, these kids can use it one time. And that analogy about getting burned is so perfect, Oh, well, let them touch the stove, let them get burnt, they'll learn. But I like what you said. I don't want the scars. I don't want to have to deal with the scars for the rest of my life from getting hurt. Let's prevent it from happening in the first place. Let's teach them, let's guide the youth, let's mentor them so that they don't have to suffer the scars. It's like people like you and me, we've already got the scars. We've been burned, we've been hurt, we had to go through the struggle. And that's why I love the name of your project, Walk With Me, because you have firsthand seen the devastation of what these types of lifestyles and what gangster type lifestyles lead to, and being incarcerated or being killed and losing your lives. And so I just love that, prevent it from happening in the first place and teach them and guide them so that they don't have to suffer the way that we did. And because of what huge impact, and the death tolls continue to rise year after year with fentanyl, these kids could use it one time and they're dead.
And they're dead. Kids, adults. I think it last year is the number one killer, number one loss of life over guns in 2021. And it's not stopping. So we need to be very innovative on how we deliver this message of awareness. We can't do the typical billboard that people are not looking at when they drive by, although we need to do everything right now. Bus stops, billboards, comic books, you name it. It needs to be out there and in a language that the people will resonate with. And because you might not even be like, people are like, oh, people don't use drugs, but occasionally I'll party, I'll take a pill, I'll do a line of coke, whatever it is. It's that one time. And you're not coming back, and you don't. And most of the people I know, I've lost dozens of friends to fentanyl. Not one of them intentionally was going to use fentanyl. They were popping a Percocet, Xanax. They were doing a line of coke. They weren't, I'm going to use some fentanyl. So although there are people out there that do that, I'm just saying from my personal experience, these are people, and they usually bought from someone they're used to buying from. That person doesn't even know they're selling it to them. So now the way the law is, because it's becoming such an issue, the person who's selling it is now getting a murder charge if that person ODs. Now, this could be your cousin that you bought it from, your friend that you're buying from. So this isn't the dare, this is your mind on drugs, eggs cracked into the skillet. That is true too. Right now, this warning is for the people using and the people that are selling. There's something new in the atmosphere and people are dying. I don't care how rich, poor, black, white, brown, purple you are. Everyone is dying. We rappers, entertainers. There was a 53, I forgot her name, 53-year-old movie star just died a couple weeks ago of fentanyl. You have Master P's daughter just died of fentanyl. You can Mac Miller, they just keep going. So this ain't the don't use drugs. That's a good conversation too. I'm just saying, watch out. Like, you don't know. And so that one time for having fun, is it worth playing Russian roulette with your life? No, it is not. We need you to live. Find another high. Find another something else in life that makes you happy. I've been bearing too many. The one name on my arm, William Wagner, one of my best friends' childhood. He died in 2017 of fentanyl. I didn't know what it was. I heard a synthetic form of heroin. I heard all this stuff, and it just sounded so foreign to me. Now, every other day. Just had a friend last week fighting for his life in ICU off a fentanyl overdose every other day. So it's not going backwards. I have yet to see, I don't care how many police forces we have, initiatives we have from the government. I have in my lifetime, I've never seen it stop a drug. You know, I lived during the crack war or the drug war. There was a war on drugs and we didn't win. Like, so as an individual, as a friend of a friend that you know is using, tell them to stop. and it's more than just because you don't want them to get high and have fun. No, people are dying. And I know that's not your intention when you're using this drug. So yeah, it's scary, bro. It's scary.
It is terrifying. And there's another group that I've worked with. It's called Jake's Projects. And it's a father, his son, and we may have talked about this on our other show, but his son was down playing video games with his friends. They thought he had passed out. They left. His mom goes down in the morning and her son's dead. And they go to the friends like, what did he take? And they're like, it was just a Xanax, you know, and it's because these pills are being pressed and they look like a Xanax, but they've been cut with fentanyl. And so it's like you said, people aren't taking it with the intention of dying. They don't even know what's in it, but it's Russian roulette because you don't know what is in the drugs, even when you're buying them from people that you're used to buying them from.
Yeah,
so
trusted source. Right.
Yeah, I want to remind our listeners.
If there is a trusted source with buying drugs, but I'm saying like literally, I know people that you may be buying this from your friend, your literal cousin who is not trying to kill you and is selling you your addiction, or you're just one time I need a Xanax to study. How many kids I need a Xanax for my just to pay attention or whatever the hell that reason is at the time. It wasn't to die.
Right. Absolutely. I just want to remind our listeners you're listening to KNSJ 89.1 FM. This is Alive to Thrive. We are not on this earth merely to survive. We are alive to thrive. And we are talking today about thriving with Armand King. We're discussing his Walk With Me Impact program and teaching the youth better ways to thrive in their lives and get out of toxic lifestyles, and really doing preventative work to save them before they make that fatal mistake and lose their lives. So I do have a few video clips I could share. You have so many great things on your Facebook page. Do you mind if I share your Facebook page for a second?
Absolutely. Right ahead.
Okay. So this is part of, as a mentor, the more you can understand yourself, the better you can help others. Be self-aware on why you're doing what you are doing. As a mentor, understand your job is like a farmer who plants seeds and hopes that their seeds grow into something fruitful. You cannot change someone to be how you want them to be. It's hard enough to change and work on yourself. What you are here for is to plant as many positive seeds and knowledge that you can add to these young minds. And I love that. And you did this artwork yourself, right?
So I did the inside artwork that goes with the curriculum. This particular piece you're looking at here is a huge portrait that one of my best friends growing up with to this day, he painted this. And this is actually a place in San Diego. It's the corners of Euclid and Imperial. And our whole life, it was nicknamed the Four Corners of Death. And you could Google the Four Corners of Death and this will come up. Over the years, we've rebranded it, call it the Four Corners of Life. We've had a festival there for about 6 years, the Four Corners of Life celebration. Like in that picture, you can see in the background to the left, it's a big church right there with the big school that's been there for years. To the right that you can't see, there's a high school. There's another church down the way. And there's kids that constantly have to walk past here and live around this neighborhood. And they, in their mind, they have to say, I live in the four corners of death. Just reciting that. Words are powerful. And you you live in death. You talk in death. You give somebody direction, you're like, I live right by the four corners of death. So we had to change that narrative. This picture was painted by my friend. And this is the second one of my book covers he's painted for me. And I asked him to, I told him what the project was about. Because me and him lived very similar. He probably had a worse life growing up than I did. And I told him to paint something depicting what he felt from what this curriculum was going to be about. And he did this. You see the rose growing from the concrete. You see the young kid being led by someone else on a walk. You see death. You see jail. You see life. You see birds. You see dreams of money flying in the air. All these things, the butterfly. This was his... this was hit right across the street from the church is a liquor store, so all these symbolic things were in this man's mind, and he put this together for me. But when you go into the curriculum, that because human beings learn differently. I don't care if you're twin brothers, sisters, you guys grew up in the same household, same parents, same neighborhood, same conditions, same bowl of Cheerios. I can learn through audio, through listening to music. You could learn through reading. Someone else has to learn through actually physically doing it. Someone else learns through artistic expression. That's humanity. I don't care how poor or rich you are. We're different in the way we input information. So throughout this curriculum, we try to cover as many of those areas as possible. And in the curriculum, there's pieces where there's artwork, and the kids have to describe what they see in the artwork, which is depicting what they might have just read and heard. So like this caption says, we are planting seeds. You cannot change any human being. There's including this curriculum, there's nothing that's just gonna for sure not have someone go through trauma. You run a youth program, you might have these kids in your program. Average youth program operates 1 hour a week. The average, some are different, they're all different. But that 1 hour you have, your job as a mentor, youth advocate is to plant seeds of positivity, as many as possible. But unfortunately, they got to go back to this crazy world most of their life. Some of them are going back to traumatic and damaged parents. As soon as they leave your class and they got to put on songs like Super Gremlin and other songs, and then you're hearing nothing but talking about using drugs in music. So it's a fight, but it's a fight that is worth taking on, because these kids are not just our future, they're our right now present. So we could say, oh, the world is crazy, just let it go and not try to plant these seeds. No, I refuse. We're going to plant these seeds as much as possible. And pray and nurture those seeds and hope they harvest, and we can save as many lives as possible. That was a long answer for did I draw this cover, but you got it, Mitchell.
No, that was a phenomenal answer. And this is and you can tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, good. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Like straight up.
I felt like that was so powerful. With the friends that I've lost, I we carry them with us in our hearts every day, and uh, it's it's one of those things where they can die, but they're never gone. The impact that they made on our lives, they stay with us forever. And when I saw that video that you did, it really touched me.
Man, shoot, it was me. I'm making myself cry right now just because when I was sitting there in that chair, and I'll describe what was happening. That this was last week. This just happened, that video. But when I was in the chair, the tattoo artist, he grew up in one of the neighborhoods I grew up in, so we really related with each other. He actually reached out to me. He's really active in the community, helping, using his talents to create scholarships for kids and all kind of wonderful things that man is doing. And he reached out to me, and we connected, and he knew I wanted to get some tat work, didn't charge me, just had me come in and do the work. And I was laying there, and he asked me, because it's a real sensitive area. Dang, so symbolic. It was a real sensitive area. I let him choose the area. I had a couple of selections, and that was the last of the areas I wanted because I knew that it was a real sensitive area, and that's the area he wanted to do it in. And when I was laying there, and we joked before we started the process, we joked about the pain. We joked about how if I couldn't take it, what we would do next, and please stop him if I couldn't take the pain. But when it was time for him to start tattooing me, I couldn't think about that pain. I didn't feel that pain because the purpose behind the names and behind the tats that I was getting, Greggy Pruitt Jr., 15-year-old kid. I'm the last person he spoke to before he passed away. He called me at 2:30 in the morning, FaceTiming, telling me how much he loved me, how he loved me as more than a mentor. He told me I was like his brother and his father. This is this 15-year-old kid who knew he was dying, but didn't tell me. I got up excited and talking to him, and he's had been missing for 2 months before this, on the run and just out. And every time I thought of this kid, I would just text him like at least 7 times. He wasn't responding for 2 months, but I would just be like, I love you, bro. I miss you. We miss you. Because he was a 15-year-old leader. Like, other community leaders loved this kid. He was amazing. And so when he FaceTimed me, I answered that phone and I would talk to this young man, and we were planning out his next steps. This kid knew he was dying, so that being that last call, being that person that he reached out to with that, I can never forget that. Haven't had a chance to even mourn his loss. Then the other name, Arnulfo Quintero, is my cousin, my younger cousin. Grew up with him. Before he was born, I was around, and this kid from little would just always run up to me and his family. He used to always say, I love you, I love you. This little poor kid growing up in gang neighborhoods, got involved in the lifestyle himself, but was always pure and happy and full of love. He was actually the first, before I had an official program through the nonprofit, he was like, God had brought him into my life at that point to start the culinary program. I would later move on to creating, changing, and saving lives. But he was always throughout the duration of my programs I'd have. And he was murdered. Both of them died last year. They were 2 of the many that I lost, or we lost. And right before his baby was born, a couple of months, his first child was on the way. Just, great woman he was with. And so those 2 lives right there out of the many, I made it to an arm that I have with other names of best friends that are on my arm, on that memorial arm. So when he asked me about the pain, like, how are you doing? You looking like you're in a zone. And he thought I was in a zone because of the needle pain. And I'm like, nah, I'm just over here thinking about them and why I'm here. And that pain is deeper than any physical pain to me. And nothing against anybody else. I don't know why God did this to me, but I grieve different. I just can't let go of certain people, certain memories. And instead of being down in what was me, I work harder. And I strive to help other people, sometimes to the detriment of myself. So if you heard like at the beginning when with that caption that when the video, I had said you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. And I just got that from a pastor friend of mine, Pastor Brooks, Pastor Terry Brooks from Bayview. He had just said that in a class, and that stuck with me. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. And that's a hard lesson I had to learn as a youth advocate, because I would take things personally. I'd put myself last. And all this goes into this curriculum and this facilitator guy teaching the mentor. You can't, you heard that saying, you can't fill up someone else's glass from an empty pitcher. That self-care, you got to make sure you're okay. You got to make sure if you're in this to help people, because people, your heart, if it's like mine, you'll take on their trauma. You'll beat yourself up if somebody doesn't make it or goes to jail or dies. And now you're now operating from a solid place where you can really genuinely help people. So you must take care of yourself. And I didn't learn that. I learned that the hard way over years. So I put those lessons into this facilitator's guide of the Walk With Me Impact curriculum, because I want to help advance the next wave of leaders, the next wave of youth advocates. So the stuff that I had to learn through touching the hot pot, we can help them not get those scars, mental scars, emotional scars. And why? Because if they can be stronger, they can help more. They can help faster, and we can break this generational cycle, this preschool to prison pipeline, destroy it. So that video right there, and it was literally last week. I just put some ointment on. My tattoos are still healing, and that's kind of like my morning process right there. Yeah.
Well, and it's just like you said, you can't save anybody else until you save yourself. It's the same way when you're in an airplane, they say, put your oxygen mask on first before you put it on someone else. If you aren't in a place to where you're functioning and that you're healthy, whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally, you can't go out and help other people do the same, because you're not capable of doing it as well as you could, unless you're in that stable place. And
you can actually damage them worse. You can damage them worse. If you're not in a good mental space and you're trying to help, now your words aren't coming out right, your actions aren't genuine, or something's wrong, and you can actually detour somebody from a healing they would have got if you were in a good space. It is very important. Self-care is not just a fancy word. It needs to be implemented. And I'm not saying like I've mastered it. I had to learn. I'm still learning the need and the importance of it, because you will break. And then who are you good for? There's not too many people. The majority of people are not out there trying to help people. Sorry, they're not. It's not people, Mitchell, like you. There's not too many people putting out podcasts like this, putting out shows like this, wanting to get information out there to help people. There's not. There's one you right now. So you got to take care of you, because if there's no Mitchell, we need you, bro. We need it. You need an Armand King. You need youth advocates. You need those people. So we don't want you to break out there. Okay. So that's why this curriculum, that's one piece I'm really on right now. Like the bulk of the written curriculum for the kids, done. The piece that's really going in depth right now is making sure we strengthen the person delivering the message. I told you I lost 7 mentees last year. I lost friends and loved ones last year. No mourning. Wanted to break. Where can you go right now that's going to give you coping skills and help you deal with the loss of life? And then also helping the kids who lost friends. You have these crazy mass shootings going on in schools, and then you have the kids that lost their lives. What about the kids that have remained? What about the kids who were just playing in that playground with the kid the day before, that morning? You think that's leaving their head? But if we don't teach adults how to go engage with that kid, we'll just let that trauma live. And now that kid is living like myself. You said 12 years old, and then again and again and again and again. And then you wonder why later this kid is now the shooter. This kid is now popping these pills drinking their brains out. They needed something, but unfortunately, there was not that help with the coping, the trauma early on. You know, that no, the kid does not want to sit there and learn about what George Washington didn't do. That they can't even think about that, let alone they just lost a friend, they're homeless, they're hungry, dadless, fatherless, whatever, all those combined situations at once of being abused, not feeling not loved, let alone, or being a foster kid with that, can you imagine? I don't know your background, but shoot, I grew up with a lot of foster kids, and to put my mind in theirs as a kid, just thinking you're not wanted from the beginning. Like we need to, those that are and have and possess the hearts of helping the youth, it's important for you to be strengthened, have self-care tactics, and equip. That's what this book is for, to equip you with the things you need to be a proper resource for these youth.
For sure, that was very well said. And I know that you mentioned a lot of the writing part of the curriculum is done, and I've seen some of the artwork that you've personally done, which I thought was so symbolic of the kid being circled by the sharks, and then being pulled over, having someone, the golden rule of taking care of others, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And there's a lot of great artwork. I highly recommend all the viewers out there to go to Armand King's page and to donate to this Kickstarter. I'm going to include links to it with this description. But with this artwork, and we talked a little bit about the writing curriculum, one thing that we talked about in our last show was using music and to help reach the minds of the youth. How is that going?
Absolutely. So just clear, the funds we're raising now is for a first phase of what we want to do with this curriculum. And this 25,000 is the goal. I think we're approaching or hit 18,000 right now. And what we want to do with that funding, we'll be able to do the graphic design, the editing, the formatting, pay for all these things to get done. But then the two bulk things that need to be completed with this are the video, visual aids that will be captured lived experience experts talking about the stuff in the curriculum. Because as I mentioned, people learn differently. So we want to hit them from all angles to plant these seeds. So not everybody who has youth groups or they might not necessarily come from the backgrounds and the similar backgrounds to these kids, but they love them and want to help them. They may not look like the demographic of kids they have in the class. All these things could be barriers. We want to alleviate barriers. So that person and myself could be saying the same thing, but a kid listen to me over them. We don't want that. So we're delivering these visual aids to go pair up with the lessons of people who come from these backgrounds. So the teacher, whatever mentor can have these. But that audio is their mission. We don't use the word homework. The mission, the kids go home with between programs, between classes, maybe once a week, it may be the next day. However, you can customize this curriculum for what your needs are as a program. So that when the kid ends at a lesson that day, their mission, I would say homework, because people probably more readily understand that, their homework for that night is to go home and listen to this song that's produced, a hip hop rap song, not anything corny, no, nursery rhyme, but something the kid's gonna actually like and might really like and listen to repeatedly. But that's their only job. So we're implanting the seeds through music too, because a lot of people learn through music. I know I did. And to combat the music that's out now, because I still listen to the music that's out now. Fortunately, I'm older and I'm able to process what I'm listening to. Just like I could watch a crazy movie on Netflix and understand it's a crazy movie on Netflix, not a monster's coming out my closet later on. But some kids have not made it there yet and take what they're hearing literally. So using music, putting it in song, put it in rhyme, put it with a nice beat, something that their job is to listen to it one time. When they come back to class, now you're talking about the lesson, you heard it in the music, you saw it in the picture, the artwork. Let's talk about it now. All these things are seeds to get you to talk about it with a trained facilitator, arming you, preparing you for when situations like this arise in the future, or helping you cope with and deal with if you've already faced something similar. So that's where the audio comes in. It is their mission, their homework.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's their mission, and go home and be able to come back to school the next day and say mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Nobody likes homework. No, what kid likes homework? What adult likes homework? You just hearing the word, hey, here's your homework. Your spirit's down. I don't want to do that. I already have 5 other class periods with homework. I don't want more homework. But you tell a kid, hey, I got this your mission for the night. What? We're about to send you on a mission. Oh, I might take that a little differently. And it's just a song. I'd have to write a book report. I had to listen to this song. I'll do that. I could do that.
I really like that. I think that's fantastic. Is changing the mentality around it altogether. I think that is fantastic. And I'm just going to remind our listeners, you're listening to KNSJ 89.1 FM. This is Alive to Thrive. I am your host, Mitchell Murphy. We have the honor today of talking to Armand King, and we're discussing the Walk With Me Impact Project. We have about 20 minutes left of the show, and I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail of what are the coping skills that you've built into the program, and what are your goals moving forward after the Kickstarter? So I know we kind of already discussed that, but what are the other future steps that we haven't discussed?
Okay, so future steps. Right now, phase 1 is we want to complete the model, complete the curriculum. Right now, in timeline, we're looking at by the end of the year. Now, to have the complete model done. Once the model is done, now people can start utilizing it. So we're looking at the beginning of 23, where people will be able to, hey, I want the curriculum. Then we can train them on how to facilitate it. Another portion of this that's going to go, say we have people in Florida, New York, Boston, wherever you are, Washington State, wherever you are, and you have this curriculum now. You are now a part of this connection of mentors. So once a month, we will have mentor meetings, strengthening meetings. So it's a support group for mentors, where there may be a little lesson on, cognitive behavioral therapy, trauma-informed care, but the purpose, the mass purpose of this meeting is for you to connect with other mentors. Because as you may be wherever you're at and you're going through a certain situation you've never gone through before, addressing with a youth parent, or there was just a fight with 2 participants in class, and there's somebody in this group who dealt with something similar and had some good, ideas, but you now have this strengthening support group. And, oftentimes you might have a participant in your program that gets up and their parents move them, or whoever moves them to a different state. I've had a participant move to Vegas recently, back in the middle of helping them, but I'm connected with the group out there in Vegas, so we can keep that help going. So that is another phase of this. We have other trainings that people will be able to get onto. What we want to do, I'll give you the top tier. If we had every dollar we want, our full budget of what we're going for, we want to do a school tour throughout the United States, pushing the fentanyl awareness, gun violence awareness, Walk With Me Impact school tour. We're community mentors, connecting with local rap artists, music artists that have and influencers that are in those areas that kids are listening to. We would want to do that. With the young kids, we want to create a animated cartoon for the elementary school kids. Then we have a comic book for the middle school and high school age that goes along with the lesson. Some people are visual, and learn visually. So we have the capabilities to do that. We want you to walk through it as you're hearing it through the comic book. Do we want the app? Right now, the first phase of this, it's physical books, right? And I learned through, yes, it's the digital age and all that, but I just firsthand experienced that, when you're dealing with poor communities, that technology gap is so real. The lack of Wi-Fi in areas, laptops being destroyed, parents, sometimes older siblings needing it, taking it. So I personally walked through that and was a part of connecting kids with during the pandemic with technology, and it did not work. So one thing I do know is we can get this book to you. Although we're not denying the laptops, the apps, we want that. But that's a second phase. Right now, I need to do what's tried and true and I know works, and it's worked because it's been working forever. So get them the physical books, but we want an app. We need a website up. We want a place where people can, a hub for the kids to go to technology wise. So those are like a few other phases. And then also the versions of this curriculum. This one right here is aimed at young men, elementary, middle school, and high school age. Walk with me impact, literally me, based on the spirit of me taking myself on a walk in elementary, middle school, and high school. I couldn't write me taking a young female version of me on a walk because it wouldn't, I could make that up, but I'd rather work with some women leaders to do that with, and we're going to. So we have the female version. We're doing a faith-based version. And it looks like we're going to do the faith-based version like simultaneously with this one right now too. So that might be ready by the end of the year as well, if not soon after. We want a Spanish version, and eventually we're going to do a one that's really directed towards foster youth, and working with people who have been in those spaces. So this first curriculum is kind of like a skeleton, of what the others will look like, a roadmap. But those are versions that are soon to come.
Well, I think that's so smart to give them a book, something physical that they can hold on to, first of all. And secondly, something that they can write in and correspond with and work with. It's something that they can take with them. And as they go further in their lives, they'll have that. They'll have that curriculum. They'll remember what they were feeling when they were going through that curriculum and when those seeds were planted as they were growing. And hopefully as years go by, be able to treasure it and hold it up and be like, this is the book that helped change the course of my life.
Right. Yep. Correct. So yeah, those are pretty much the phases right there where we're at. But first thing is we're going to knock this Walk With Me Impact curriculum out. We're going to raise the funds we need, and definitely nothing this scale and this epic is done by oneself. I have a team with me, and my team expands beyond my immediate team. It's all the people that are investing in this right now, all the people that are putting $5 in. Nothing's too small. That $5 plus two more $5. I told my friends this the other day, if I need 100 friends to put in I need 100 friends to put in $100. Just throw in the 100. Let's go. And then that money accumulates, and we're able to get this done and move forward. So, we have 4 more days of the Kickstarter. I wholeheartedly believe we're going to hit that goal, but it's going to take all of us coming together to do that. We have a group of youth consultants that have been going through this curriculum, pretty much my checks and balances, because I'm a 41-year-old man, and although situations and things are very similar to when I was a kid, there's been some nuances that have changed over time. Like when I was growing up, suicide wasn't a major issue. You barely ever heard of a kid committing suicide. Now, most kids I know have a friend that committed suicide. When I was young, pharmaceutical pills wasn't a thing to do. We were smoking weed and drinking alcohol, but now pharmaceutical pills, 12-year-olds, 13, 14, that it is the thing to do. So needed those youth consultants to make sure the curriculum was on point for this age, this day and age right now. And so they got a great team of them. They're active. And then they're also ready to help other youth groups that are around who may need to talk directly to kids that these kids are literally, one of them just lost 4 friends last year himself, seeing dead bodies. He's 15, kids that, been on crystal meth for years of their life and now sober. And like, what, if you want to learn what was it like as a kid to do that, and I could tell you. Or how about this kid who just survived it? He'll tell you, So the team is ready to go.
Well, and that has so much power. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so confident of the success of the Walk With Me Impact project, is because the power that comes from experience And with all the work that I've done with people struggling with addiction, and I'm going to be launching a somewhat similar program with the Live to Thrive program, focusing primarily on addiction and overcoming past trauma. And you and I have talked off the air about that, but it's the impact the experience has, because the teacher's not just coming in and saying, here's a book that the school board has come together with and what we think will help you stay out of gangs and get into toxic lifestyles. They're coming to the classes and they're saying, here's someone who survived. Like you just said, they survived this. They went through that experience and they lived through it. And here is what they have to share with you to help save your life.
Exactly. Much more impactful. You know, you can hear somebody tell you about a certain lifestyle, like, you know, somebody can tell you about gardening. If they've never gardened, and then you bring in somebody who has gardened, who are you going to listen to? I'm going to listen to the person who actually did it. You know, someone can tell you about how great training wells is, but you've never done it before. Then bring in the trainer that's trained the wells. You know, what did it feel like? Someone has been bit by a shark. What did that feel like? I'm going to listen to him rather than someone who's making it up, you know, so definitely lived experience. Although, like that, I said, why we have those visual aids. The problem is so vast. It's everywhere. We need to help our kids. So I don't want to stop somebody who has the heart for it, but has not experienced those backgrounds. We need you. They might not have connections with those mentors, those credible messengers, people that lived experience, but that doesn't mean help these kids, please. We can't get to all of them alone. So here's some visual aids of people who have been there, done that can go along with what you're saying, you know, because we don't want to miss any kids. If we have an opportunity to plant these seeds, I don't care if you grew up extremely wealthy your whole life, never seen a problem like a poor kid or whatever has gone through, but you genuinely love and want to help this kid. Let me give you the tools to do it.
And how would they get involved in doing that? Do they go to your website, Paving Greater Futures, or how would they get involved to volunteer and support?
So right now, so Paving Great Futures is a great organization that I helped launch. Came from this crazy mind of mine that wanted to help our youth back in 2012. It is operating in San Diego. If you're in San Diego and you wanted to help out directly and do some volunteer work, yes, go through the pavinggreatfutures.org website. If you're in San Diego, this Walk With Me Impact curriculum is a standalone and not for one nonprofit, one group. It is for everyone throughout. Target is North America, United States, and Canada. So it is a tool for nonprofits that help youth, for youth groups. And right now where that phase is just getting it off the ground. So go to Kickstarter, look up Walk With Me Impact, and contribute what you can right now. Like I said, the timeline be done by the end of the year. At that point, especially if you're a contributor, you will know firsthand because we're reaching back out to you. The project will be ready to go, and we'll be, getting the awareness of it out even more to people who would want to use something like this. We already have a list of people that are waiting right now. Youth groups, school districts in Canada, youth groups up and down the coast. California, Massachusetts. We have people waiting for it as we speak. But yeah, so you'll just at first phase right now, go to Kickstarter, Walk With Me Impact. We need your help. Let's get it done.
Absolutely. And there's 4 days left. You said the last day to donate to the Kickstarter is August 31st?
Correct. August 31st.
And you're almost there.
We are.
It's so close. There's just a few more $1,000 and you guys are going to hit your goal of 25. That's amazing.
We will. Thank God. And I know there's one person out there right now that's scratching their pocket that has it right now. Just go ahead and help us help others. I'm laughing and smiling, but trust me, create this tool. And if you want to meet with me more and talk and just get the details of it, please. We are an open book. We want to get this done. You know, I'm tired of putting tattoos on my arm. This ain't for fun. You know, I want that to be the last tattoo I put on my arm, literally. I missed a phase. One of the things we're working on right now is a documentary that'll go with this. It's going to be called Raised. And the documentary, like, you've seen documentaries. Most documentaries point to a problem that is happening on some front, some issue, but it never ends with a solution. So we have a documentary that's really, we've been working on for 3 years, almost 4 years now, that's talking about these different pieces of traumatic lifestyles from these youth that led to death or incarceration. And, but then at the end of that documentary, here's the solution. Here's the problem, but here's the solution. So that is another piece we're working on right now.
That's phenomenal. And we have about 5 minutes left of the show. I will just remind our listeners one more time, you're listening to Alive to Thrive here on KNSJ 89.1 FM. We are speaking with Armand